All right, well, welcome back to another Exegetical Tools Greek webinar. We're going to translate some Greek live together as a group, and we're going to work through Colossians 2:16 to 19 today. These are actually the same screens I use in our Colossians series that's available online here at this address, exegeticaltools.com/Colossians. So if you want to see the full series, you can go there and preview it. And this is actually part of the same content I cover in that series. So if you're watching this webinar, I'm going to give you 25% off that series if you want it with the coupon code 25OFF-COL. So if you enjoy what we do here, I hope you go check it out for some more. So this time around, we got quite a few people with mics here, which is good. So Keith, you're always here. Steady Eddie, you wanna give?
Sure, I'll start.
Yeah, why don't you give 16 a shot?
Okay. Men une tes unas creneato and rose kai and pose a
You still going? Hold on now. Are you guys still there?
Excuse me?
I can't hear anybody now. Keith, are you still going?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, sorry, go ahead. Were you translating?
I hadn't started translating yet.
All right, yeah, sorry about that. I think my sound was messing up. So, okay, good reading, so go for the translation. You know what krino means?
Krino means to judge.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so here's our main verb, and then can you parse it?
Okay. Or do not let anyone judge you in drinking in food or in drinking or in it's festivals, something about festivals, or the new moon or the Sabbath.
Okay, close. You were kind of getting the lexemes there, but there's some issues to smooth out. So how did you parse this first, krineto?
Cornetto would be second person imperative.
Not quite. It's not second. Okay, Ken Hogan there got it. Present active imperative, third singular. So the subject here, notice, is tis, anyone. So that should tip you off that the verb is going to be a third person singular. So we have therefore, and if you recall, 2:11 to 15, 15 kind of climaxes with Christ stripping off the spiritual powers and taking away our record of guilt by nailing it to the cross. And the next is so therefore, based on that, don't let anyone judge you with regard. So now you said, don't let anyone judge you. Loss is the object. And what function is in carrying here? What type of in is it? You just translated it in English as in.
It would be
Are you flipping through pages, Keith? Somebody's pretty bad. It's not Keith. Somebody needs to move their mic and try to figure out who it is. Nope. Brian. Oh, it's Brian. Okay, there we go. Thanks. So Keith, how is that N functioning?
It would be something like in a, don't let them judge you about what you're eating or what you're eating or in anything to do with food.
Yeah, so syntactically that would probably fall into the category of reference or respect. You could also possibly say this is the temporal use, so in food or in drink, meaning while you are eating or while you are drinking, but I think probably reference or respect is the better option. So reference, probably not locative, because then the judgment would be within food, like as if someone was inside of food judging. So probably reference or respect. Don't let anyone judge you with reference or with regard to food and with regard to drink. Or, and then you have this in mere, and this is, literally in part of, okay, it could be causal. In can function causally as well. Thanks, Kent. So these ends could be reference, they could be temporal, they could be causal. But we get the idea. No problem, Brian. So we get the idea that what he's saying, don't let anyone judge you because of what you're eating or drinking, or with reference or with regard to what you're eating or drinking. Or in part of feast and new moon and Sabbaths. So this in mere, that's obviously a very strange, in part of, doesn't make any sense. So if you see something that doesn't seem to make sense, one option would be you ask yourself, is this an idiom? And if you go to BDAG and look up mere, you'll see that it does say that mere can be used with different prepositions to mean different things. And there's a long list of different prepositions, and when it's used with in, it means in the matter of or with regard to. So this again would be or with regard to feast or new moon or Sabbath, and that's also part of why I took these as reference or respect, because this right here is an idiom that means with regard to, so I interpreted these two ends as meaning the same thing. Okay, questions on 16? That was good. Yeah. No problem, Keith. We'll move on to the next verse now. Keith's having a little mic trouble. So, Mikkel, are you around with a mic?
Hey, can you hear me okay?
I can, yeah. You want to go for 17?
All right. Okay. Skia, ton, melanton, ta de soma tu Christu, which is skia, is a shadow, a shadow of melanton. That is a word that I'm not entirely sure I can figure out. Is it mellow? I'm about to?
Yes, it is.
It is a shadow of the imminent something. Let's see.
Uh-huh.
But the soma, the body of Christ. Huh.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now to smooth this out, which is a shadow of things to come, maybe.
Yeah.
But the body of Christ is something.
Right. Yeah, there's something missing there, right? Okay, so a few questions. You said which is, but what is this? What number, singular or plural?
Well, it's a relative particle from has, he, han, and no, I guess I just guessed on that one. Is it plural?
Yeah, it's neuter plural. But then what is this, singular or plural?
It's singular.
Uh-huh. How does that work?
Are the things it's referring to a collective singular?
Yeah, so since this is neuter, you can have a neuter plural subject, and a neuter plural subject often has a singular verb.
Okay.
So
Yeah, okay.
typical thing that happens in Greek. So you would translate this which things are instead of which
Things, okay, because it's
is.
plural, yeah.
So which things are, and the ha refers back to these, right? And maybe also these. So which things are?
Shadows.
Yeah, probably more, since it's referring to shadow, probably just refers back to these three things.
Shadows of things to come.
Yeah, and then this would be what gender? Could be masculine or neuter. Can you just parse the whole thing?
Mic for a little bit there. So if it's mellow from I'm about to, I know it's a ontos. It's a plural genitive, so let's see. Gender case number is going to be genitive, plural, present active participle from mellow.
Right.
I'm about to.
But what gender? You said genitive plural, and then there's a gender.
Again, please.
What gender? So it's present active. So you see the present active participle here. It's got the present stem, the new tau active participle morpheme, genitive plural ending, and then the gender is going to be masculine or neuter. One is it and why?
Neuter then because of the which.
It's not because of the ha.
Things, again.
It's not because of that. It's just because this is being used substantively to refer to the coming things. And so if you're going to use something substantively like that, it'll be in the neuter case. So if it referred to coming people or coming men, it would be masculine. But coming things, kind of a abstract substantive, it'll be in the neuter.
Okay. Okay. So it is an article there. So it's a substantival usage.
Yep. Yeah, so shadow and then of. So this would be if someone wants to type what type of genitive this is what type of genitive is this? Anybody can answer.
Let's see. Shadow of things to come. Is it exegetical? Because it's giving us a more specific.
I think it's probably a simpler category.
Subjective genitive?
Subjective? No, because shadow isn't really a verbal noun. But Tyler...
Oh, is it partitive or holative, since it's not just any old shadow, but a shadow of things to come?
I don't think so. I think it's just simply a possessive, like Tyler said. So it's a shadow belonging to the coming things.
It's possessive?
So that would be just possessive.
Right, just possessive. So which are a shadow belonging to the coming things. But, this de, post-positive de, but ta soma tu Christou, the body of Christ. Now, this is interesting. If you look at Bible Works here, if you look at all the translations, but the substance belongs to Christ, substance belongs to Christ, reality is found in Christ. The reality is Christ. The body is of the Messiah. The substance is of the Messiah. Sorry, the substance is the Messiah. The body is of Christ. I mean, look at the differences between these translations. There's no real consensus on how to interpret, on how to translate this. And there's only one here actually that a lot of these are basically translating it in such a way that they're interpreting it, but they're actually losing the kind of the linguistic imagery that's being used here. So can anybody guess what's going on? Look at this. You got a shadow and you got a body. So don't translate soma as substance, because then you're going to lose, you know, soma means body, something corporal, corporeal. So what's going on here with this shadow body imagery?
Well, we have a kind of a parallelism here, where a shadow is just, it indicates that there is a body, but it itself is not really anything. So the body is kind of like the reality of the thing versus just an indicator that something's there. So maybe the reality.
Yeah, right. And I'm the worst artist in the world, so don't laugh at me. This is something my child would probably draw, but it's simply, it's an image that Christ is casting a shadow. It's almost as if the things to come is Christ and the church and the fulfillment, and Christ's body is what itself is casting the shadow, and the shadow is feasts and new moons, etc. It's the Old Testament law, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the Old Testament stuff is itself the shadow. The body that's casting that shadow is Christ. So Christ is the body that casts the shadow. Anyway, if you
we say, but the would you just not say body? Would you just say like the reality is Christ? Or
yeah, this is one of those where it's hard. You have to decide whether to retain body in the translation, because if you get rid of body, you're going to lose that that imagery of a body casting a shadow.
mm-hmm.
So you know,
that the body casting the shadow is Christ.
yeah. I mean, if you wanted to get really interpretive, yeah. Right here, CJB, the Christian Jewish Bible, is the only one to retain body. Well, KJV does as well. But these are a shadow of things that are coming, but the body is of the Messiah. So you also have, what's tricky here is you also have an implied verb right
mm-hmm.
here, probably an implied estin. So the body is of Christ. So the body belongs to Christ is how you could translate that into English. Anyway, somewhat, you know, it's not terribly difficult. Huh?
Also, couldn't it be referring to the church as the body of Christ? So then we would say that the new moon and the festivals are fulfilled in the church.
Well, that I'm trying to think how that would connect with the first clause. You know, if the shadow, which these things are a shadow of the things to come, but the church belongs to Christ. If soma there refers to the church, then it's not really referring to a literal human body like Christ has, and so then it makes it more difficult to say that the church is casting a shadow. So I think personally this is, you know, when it says the bodies of Christ, yeah, I mean, first of all, the body belongs to Christ, literally the person of Christ who's casting the shadow of the Old Testament types. But of course we know the fulfillment also includes the church and things like that. So in the peripheral idea, the church is also there.
Well, so then he might be referring to both.
Yeah, I'd say primarily I think
Primarily
it's all
his body, but
literal
but-
body. Yeah, so I mean, you could figure out a way to kind of work the church in there, but however, if you're going to try to do that, you have to make sure this imagery of a body casting a shadow still works. So I think primarily what Paul's getting at is Christ as the telos of the law, right? Like Romans, that he is the substance of all the types and shadows. Is it a genitive source? The body comes from Christ. I don't think so, Tyler, because yeah, I think it's just a simple possessive. It's the body. The body is belonging to Christ, but the body is of Christ. Yeah.
So I have a question then about the possessive genitive here. If it's possessive with soma to Christou, is that kind of also an argument for why you should take skiaton melanton as possessive as well? When it seems like skiaton melanton could be many different things.
Yeah, I think so. I think the parallelism, saying the shadow belongs to the coming things, but the body belongs to Christ, that parallelism, yeah, I think is a good argument for that.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions on 17 before we get into the real fun stuff? All right, who do we got here? Who do we have? Who else has a mic? Neil? Neil, do you have a mic?
Can I just be a participant and a watcher this time?
Yep, no problem. Kent, you are typing, so Kent, why don't you...
Mic picking up?
Oh, do you have a mic?
I think so.
Oh, okay, good. You've been typing, so I wasn't sure. Great. Why don't you try to do 18 and stop right here?
All right. Medes humas kata brabueto thelon en tapena frasune kai threskeia ton angeleon ha oraken embatuon.
Good. And translate whenever you're ready. Did you mute yourself?
I did, sorry.
There you go. You want to translate?
Okay, medas is nothing, no one.
Right, yeah. And it's...
of you.
So you got the none and the one, so no one. It's in the...
No one.
There.
Of you. I don't know that vocabulary.
Sure. So it's from kata rabuo.
To rob. Okay, yeah.
Two kind of radically different meanings there, to either rob of a prize or to condemn.
Okay.
And then with this bueto, again, we have this eto ending, so that's that third singular imperative.
Right. Okay. So do not. I guess you're an imperative. So do not rob or do not let rob.
Yeah, we're actually going to go with the other meaning here, condemn.
Condemn. Okay.
That's kind of the context here. Is there, like up here, don't let anyone judge you.
Cornetto.
It's a similar legal term, condemn.
Okay. So we do not let no one condemn. Hello is to will.
You missed so this is an object. I think you took that as a genitive earlier, but that's accusative plural.
Accusative plural, you.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So,
Yeah, and this thelon clause is pretty tough, but you can give it a shot.
Okay.
Let me actually give you a little help, because again, this right here is an idiom.
Yeah, my sight reading is way off.
So this is an idiom. If you look it up in BDAG under thelo, you can see that thelon in tapinaphrosune means taking pleasure in. So this thelon in means to take pleasure in something. And then tapinaphrosune means lowliness or humility in a good sense, but you'll see here it's probably not referring to it in a good sense, referring to it as extreme lowliness. So this would be the thelon in is taking pleasure in.
Okay.
Idiom. I'm going to get a better pen one of these days so I can really write better.
So it's instructing us not to let someone condemn us or, again, rob us or condemn us of our pleasure in.
Well, this thelon, can you parse that?
It's a participle, nominative, singular. I guess present active participle. Nominative, masculine, singular. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. And what's the subject of this participle?
The one who is robbing or who is condemning.
Yeah, medes. So if this is nominative singular masculine, this is also nominative singular masculine.
Right.
So this is going to be the subject of thelon and of the verb here. So now another question about the participle, is it adverbial or adjectival?
It is adjectival.
Why?
Yes.
I don't know. Why?
You're modifying a subject, which would be nominative. And I may be using the wrong terminology there. Alone. Management.
Right. So I think that was Mikkel just said there's no article, and when there's no article, that means it can be either adjectival or adverbial.
Okay.
So that doesn't help us out. Now, you said thelon is modifying medes. It's not necessarily modifying it. If it's adjectival, it would be modifying it.
Correct.
In this case, in the fourth attributive position, because there's no article for either. Or it could be adverbial, in which case it's modifying the main verb, but the logical subject is medes. So in that case, it wouldn't be modifying medes, it's modifying the verb. But
which makes it adverbial.
Right, yep. And then it has this logical subject, which is the same as the main verb because it's in the same case. So, same case as the subject. So anyway, which do you think it is? This could be either let no one condemn you by desiring or while desiring or something like that, or it could be let no one who desires or who takes pleasure in, etc., condemn you. Which sounds better?
I think the adverbial sense is going to sound better.
Okay.
Because they're taking.
Okay.
Willing.
Taking pleasure.
It could be causal adverbial.
Okay, so if you take it as cause, let no one condemn you because they are taking pleasure in humility, and actually I'm going to translate this as kind of extreme lowliness or asceticism, which, you know, is kind of what a lot of commentators settle on because of the issue of the Colossian heresy here. Seems to be that they're judging people for food and drink and feasts and festivals, and so it seems like they're being ascetic, and that's part of kind of the heresy that they're teaching. So this humility here is probably a sort of false humility that is an extreme asceticism. So in this case, they'd be condemning. What's that?
Even if it's temporal, while they condemn or while they delight in your asceticism.
Yeah. So there's a lot. There is a lot because it is. Yeah, this participle is present, so it's going to be occurring at the same time as the main verb if it's adverbial. But you could still make it causal or means or something like that. And then it's assumed that both actions are happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Now, I actually, there's a lot of ways you could take thelon as adverbial. There's causal, there's means, there's temporal. I actually think the best translation myself is to take this as adjectival. It comes out to a similar meaning, but it just works, it works a little better in English. This would be the fourth attributive position, and because it's a bit harder to come up with a good logical relationship between the verb and thelon. So let no one you'd say, let no one condemn you who takes pleasure in asceticism and threskeia ton angelon. Did you translate that as well?
Threskeia, I'm not familiar with that, but of angels, again, you're in the genitive. So it's they're talking worship.
Yep, correct. Threskeia means worship, and that's the lexical form right there. So here all you add is the iota subscript. Okay. And so that means that iota subscript means it's in the dative because it's following its case.
Right.
And then
so it's
so what kind of genitive is this?
It's worship of angels, so it's object of genitive. You're worshiping angels. It's the object of worship.
That is one possibility. What would be the other possibility? Anybody?
Or reference, genitive of reference.
Probably not, because threskeia is a verb, a noun of action. It's a verbal noun.
Oh yeah.
Could be partitive.
Yeah.
What's the opposite of
attributed? Could it be attributed because the angels are receiving the worship?
No, attributed would be, instead of angelic worship, it would be worshipful angels.
So the other.
It could be partitive. It would be worship specifically of angels.
No, that would be that'd be like epexegetical. But threskeia is a verbal noun, so you basically have two options with a verbal noun, followed by a genitive. I mean, there can be other options, but he said object.
So then it would be objective.
Right. What's the opposite of objective?
Subjective.
Ah, there we go. Okay, subjective.
But but that would mean they produce the action.
Right. So.
And.
So wouldn't that be the angels are worshiping?
Right. So there is precious little evidence in kind of early, preceding Jewish literature of people actually worshiping angels. And then like even in the New Testament you see angels saying, don't worship me. But there is, for example, in the Dead Sea Scrolls you have the Songs of the Sabbath Sacrifice, which is this liturgy for the heavenly angels in the heavenly court. So there is some evidence of angels worshiping in the heavenly court. And so that is what a lot of commentators settle on here is the subjective genitive, that this is referring to angels worshiping. So what they're taking pleasure in is extreme asceticism and the angels worshiping. And so now, if that's the translation we go with, we're kind of set in this heavenly scene of worship now. And that's what a lot of commentators think is going on with this Colossian heresy, is that this is these guys are mystics, and whatever this Jewish, Christian, syncretistic religion is, they're ascetic, They are kind of mystics who have these revelations and they see heavenly divine visions of angels worshiping in the heavenly courts. And then this next phrase is actually the one that that really is kind of the interpretive crux of the whole book. And sorry, Tyler just said Michael Bird lists examples of Jewish worshiping of angels as well. Tyler, does that mean Jews worshiping angels or angels worshiping in the heavenly court? To give Tyler a second to type that out. Oh, and by the way, at this point I should say, I've taken a few paragraphs from my dissertation with citations and everything, all the footnotes and all that, and I'm going to put it into the blog post that I will put up with the recording of this webinar. So after we go through this, Jews worshiping angels. Okay, so there's some counter examples there. When I post this video as a recording, I'll post it in a blog post, and in that post I've copied and pasted a few paragraphs in which I'm dealing with all of this, including footnotes and everything. So when I say commentators, what they say, I've got kind of citation there. It'll be in the blog post. But, you know, there's so much written on this passage. This is the heart of the Colossian heresy right here. Now, what about this clause? How about we go back to Mikkel? Mikkel, can you do that for us?
Yeah. What is it? Oh, the end of 18?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Ha heorakin embrateuon. So, which, from heorikos, from horao, it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Which he has seen, embrateuon, it's participle, embrateuon, to go into, to enter into, is that what that means?
Yes. I've got that down in here somewhere.
I think that's a hapax, isn't it?
Oh, I didn't even put it in there. Yes, it is. It is a hapax in the New Testament, and if you look it up in the LXX, there are several instances of entering into a country, like right here, enter into the land. But when you look up this word, it only occurs this many times in the LXX, and so it often does mean to enter into the land. And some commentators take this to mean which things they have seen by entering into the land, referring to kind of like the heavenly future eschatological land that God is supposed to give us, or something like that. But this word, embatuon, does anybody else know what? I mean, what's the grammatical issue here? What's missing?
Well, we have the ha is acting like the direct object, and the embrateuon is looking into these things. So we have seen, or he has seen, while looking into these things.
Well, you got it
like that.
This would be ha is the direct object of heorikin, which things he has seen by entering.
While looking into.
Well, this is we should really translate this as by entering in.
By, like it's dative?
No, it's a participle, it's adverbial, and it's modifying heorikin. So which things he has seen, comma, entering, is how it would be literally. And so it's going to be temporally, it's going to be at the same time. He's seen these things while entering. And then, I mean, you could probably say it's, means which things he has seen by entering. And so what's missing here? grammatically.
There's a negation missing, according to most translations. Not seen.
Yeah, I think that's
Is that just a manuscript issue?
I think that's an interpretive decision if their translations are doing that, because that's not necessary.
I agree. It must be manuscript. There is a may in some manuscripts.
Oh, is there? Okay. Well, just listen to it in English.
There's a subject. There's a subject, right? He has seen. That's he has seen, and then there's a subject. There's a verb. There's a direct object. These things implied while entering. Is that a transitive verb then? Then we need another indirect object.
Right.
Entered what, the temple or something, right?
Yeah, what's he entering? Yeah, exactly. What's he entering? So that's the big interpretive problem here in this verse. There are other ways to actually interpret it, to translate this, but that's by far the best way to do it grammatically. And so, which things he has seen by entering? So the question is, enter what? And
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
The gloss given in my readers for imbatuo is to take one's stand on, rather than entering in.
Yes, that can be. Some people have argued for that kind of alternative translation.
In F.F. Bruce, he was saying that he's taking a stand at his initiation. So he's talking about they were entering into some mystery religion and had an initiation, and that's what he's talking about.
Yes. Yeah, so here's what I have. I'm putting this into the blog post, and so you can read this there. Here's what I have on imbatuo, and I have some works cited here that you could do further reading on if you wanted, but the implied direct object is probably a heavenly sanctuary. Back in 1917, Debelius, he argued that this verb referred to entering into visions. So for him, the direct object was visions during initiation rites for mystery cults, and that's what F.F. Bruce is getting at as well. This verb imbatuo is used to refer to people entering into things during initiation rites. And he had there like some newly found inscriptions from the Sanctuary of Apollo at Claros, dated to the 2nd century AD. So he had some pretty new evidence to connect that verb to these initiation rites. But then the fact that he was inferring visions, he was kind of criticized for that. But then Clint Arnold, in his monograph on the Colossian heresy, he also demonstrated further that word is used in initiation rites of contemporary mystery religions to speak of entering into the inner sanctuary of the god. So that's from Clint Arnold's work there. And then even before him, Carr has an article where he talks about a human or deity stepping into a temple or sacred space by using this verb imbatuo. And then the fact that this phrase is so truncated, just imbatuon, it begs the explanation. That suggests that it's probably a fixed expression for a known rite, at least in the Asia Minor area to where Paul is writing. So probably the best inferred or implied direct object of imbatuon is the heavenly temple. And that makes really good sense of what's going on here. These people are judging the Colossians because they're, these people who take pleasure in asceticism, so they reject all these things, food, drink, feast, they reject all that, and they take pleasure in that asceticism and the worship of angels, which things they have seen, this kind of extreme asceticism maybe even occurring in the heavenly realm from other people, and which they try to imitate themselves, and they've seen this worship by angels like in the songs of the Sabbath sacrifice, and they've seen these things by entering into the heavenly temple. I know you can't read that, but so they're entering into the heavenly temple through mystic visions. And that's really what Dibelius was getting at as well, is that they're having these visions that are taking them up into the heavens. So there are many, many other ways to take this. And in the blog post I have, you'll see the literature if you want to read a few other things. But you can open up like O'Brien's commentary, for instance, and he'll list out the various views and kind of the history of the subject as well. But that's if you take it like that, then that really explains a lot, kind of the heart of the Colossian heresy and what was going on. All right. So 251. Let's finish out 18. And who has a mic and hasn't translated yet? Anybody want to translate? Kent, did you translate? Or Michael? Kent or Michael, either one of you want to do the last part of 18?
I can certainly try.
Okay.
All right. AK thusiamenos pa tu nous tes sarkas autou.
Yeah, do you need help with that, Fusiumenos?
I sure do.
So right here, it's from fusiao, meaning to puff up or to make proud.
Proud. Okay, to make proud.
You can see it is the present tense stem, and the men there, middle or passive participle.
Okay.
And then you
Nominative masculine singular, present passive. So being made proud.
And how do you know it's passive and not middle?
Well, or middle. I guess I just learned to go to one end or the other.
How about this right here? Does that give you a clue? Yeah, followed by who plus the genitive expressing agent. So that's how you can know it's passive.
Yeah. Okay, I gotcha. And that's nous is mind. From the mind, and the sarkos flesh of his flesh. AK. That's a vanity. AK. I don't remember that again. Vocabulary.
Yeah, in vain, vanity, and it's the dative there. So in vanity or in vain.
Okay, so in vain, being made puffed up or proud from the mind and taste from the flesh of him, his flesh.
Right. Okay, so what type of genitive is this?
The flesh is flesh. What type of genitive is
Mind
this?
of flesh. So flesh doesn't actually have a mind, right?
Right.
It's not going to be possessive.
Are these appositional genitives?
Apposition, that would be the mind, which is his flesh.
Oh yeah, no, that's not right. Okay, sorry.
Anybody else? Anybody can hop in. What type of genitive is sarkos? Attributive, Tyler says. Yeah, I think that's probably right. So the attributive would mean sarkos is acting like an attributive adjective. So by his fleshly mind. And that makes good sense, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
being puffed up in vain by his fleshly mind.
Being made, even being made by that. Is that correct? That their own fleshly mind is making them puffed up.
Yeah, the fleshly mind is the agent that is causing the puffing up.
Proudness.
Right. Okay, good. So autou technically modifies os.
And the mind, I guess, yeah.
It's his mind that is fleshly.
Nos, yeah.
So these both modify naos. Okay, good. 19 here just to run through to the end. This parallels Ephesians 4. It's like 15 and 16, I believe. So, and this person is being puffed up, and he is not judging the head or taking account of the head, which is Christ, right? From whom the entire body, so it's kind of a holistic pond there, the entire body through the joints and I believe that's ligaments, which by being supplied and is that knit together, soon zamenon, yeah, this can mean to unite or to instruct. It could be either one. So this isn't technically ligament. It's more like fastener or uniting bond, or maybe, but it's kind of body imagery. So through the joints and the uniting bonds, by being supplied and united, the whole body grows the growth of God. And so his probably a genitive source there. It's the growth that comes from God. So they're not judging Christ, the head. And then there's this last kind of clause which just is unrelated to the rest of the discourse. It's only defining further kephale. So further defining Christ. He's the one from whom the whole body grows the growth of God through the joints and the uniting bonds when they're being supplied and united. Referring there to the people of the church. Yeah, judgment, discerning correctly. That would be kind of the connotation of kraton here. They're not correctly discerning or correctly judging Christ. They're more concerned with their heavenly visions and their asceticism and these kind of mystery connotations, rather than really judging Christ and what the teaching about Christ and who he is, that sort of thing. Any questions on any of the Greek here?
Well, when I was talking about the joints, I was thinking it's talking about how the body of Christ is joined together. So it's the things that separate us, that makes us individuals and corporate. So the things from Christ join us together, the ligaments, but this growth also, it's where we meet together.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Anything else? Great. Well, that was a fun hour. Some tough Greek and a lot of interpretive issues. Don't forget, you can go through the rest of our Colossians series. I have this comes straight from the video that we did. At the end of each one, I have a translation of the passage after you go through it. Kind of zoom out and look at the whole thing again. But go check out the whole series and use this coupon code right here, 25 off COL, and you get 25% off the series. I hope it can be useful for you to improve your own Greek, retain things that you might lose otherwise, regain things that you have lost, and hopefully you could prepare some lessons or even some sermons through Colossians and use these videos to help you work through the Greek on your own. So thanks everybody for coming, and we should do this next Friday again at 2 o'clock. I'll send out an email to let you know that we're doing it or if it's canceled for any reason. So thanks a lot, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Todd.
All right, yeah. See y'all later.